I'd like to welcome Bill Ward to the Author Studio, not as an author, but as an actor, playing Roy Grace on stage and Not Dead Enough. I'm not sure whether it's a great role for him or a poison chalice, but I have to say he's done a wonderful job.
It's the Jimmy Cagney one, which is find your mark, look the other fella in the eye, tell the truth. It was a guy called Yank in a Eugene O'Neill play called The Hairy Ape, and it's basically about a bloke who falls in love with a gorilla. Early doors, early in the morning, before my brain is full of other stuff. If I have a choice, often when you're doing theatre you don't have a choice, you do it in the evening, but if I do have a choice, sort of early doors. Mark Rylance, pretty much doing anything, is terrific. I saw him in Jerusalem, and that's just one of the most astonishing pieces of acting I've ever seen. Jeff Bridges, I like a lot, and I've always liked. And there's a film with him and the other guy when I was growing up who I just worshipped, which was Clint Eastwood, who I just think he's extraordinary. And there was a film that they both did called Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. It was funny, it was moving, and it was just ace. Midget gems on a car journey. The half is sacred. So whatever I'm doing and whatever I've been doing, at the half it stops. And that's where you put a kind of a line in the sand, and then you try and sort of, you put on the clothes, and if you're wearing makeup, I try and wear as little as possible, but whatever you need to do to try and be the person who you're meant to be for the next 2.5 hours, that half hour is to kind of get into that kind of place, really. So yeah, the half is sacred. I always wanted to be two things, essentially. One was to be an actor, and the other one was to work for advertising agencies, which is what I did for the first 12, 15 years of my professional career. So I used to work for a couple of big agencies here in London, actually, Bartle Bogle Haggerty and Saatchi & Saatchi. And I was an account director, and I was a senior strategic planner, and did lots of those kind of things. But I'd always also wanted to be an actor. And so when I hit 30, and you kind of, I went travelling for sort of 2 or 3 years, sort of off and on, not the whole time, but off and on. And sort of over that period, I kind of thought, well, it's not now or never, but now would be a good time. It was something that was always in the back of my mind, but I didn't get around to doing it till I was about 30. Sometimes there's a sort of intellectual rigour that might surprise you in advertising, where you're absolutely ruthless with the thinking, really, and you just try and work out what makes something tick. And that's quite useful for acting, because when you're trying to get to the heart of a character, you just keep going back to the bit in the middle that makes them tick, if you can. I haven't got a clue what's going to happen. You never do. You just see what comes up. I've always kind of seen what comes up, and you kind of go with it, and see what happens. I don't really hate being asked questions, because if people ask you questions, it means they're generally interested in either what you've done or what you're doing, or generally sort of about whatever part you've been playing. So I generally don't mind sort of being asked questions. There are some questions that come up quite a lot, which is how do you learn your lines and things like that, but I don't hate being asked them. By sort of doing it over and over and over and over again.
I found that interview really interesting with Bill Ward, to see how he'd had such a big change of life at the age of 30 to move from advertising into acting. How many of you have, at some point in your life, followed a dream? I'd love to hear about it.